Hello, hello. My name's Sam Procopio, quite the Blood Angel enthusiast, and I'm taking my first actual crack at a tournament report. Last year I was actually able to finish #1 in Canada with my Blood Angels, and also #2 Blood Angels in the world. Unfortunately missed out on that top spot because I wasn't able to make it to LVO due to COVID situations, but it's alright. We're going to gun for it this year and see how far they can take me. Also, a massive shout out to the community that I have around me. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and without the guys that are within this community and the support that I always have, none of my drive would have been possible, and they just really kept me driven to just keep getting better and just, keep exploring all the different ways I could have, possibly grown within this hobby. And lo and behold, I've reached the goals that I mentioned a bit earlier, and hope to keep it going. So thank you for the entire community around us, and special shout out to my best friend in the hobby, Christian. He's been a huge support system for me and to help me get through tough times, which I'm sure we can all understand that the hobby gives us in ways. Last shout out, I swear, Ridvan, thank you so much for being just such a great role model in the community and doing everything you do for all those around you. For those of you, obviously, who don't know him as Ridvan, that's Scary from Scarredcast. So check out his content because there's a lot of great stuff on his channel. But without further ado, let's take a look into the list.
All right, so here is the 2,000 points of my Blood Angel army. It is a single battalion, and let's take a look at the HQs first. First off, we have the Warlord, which is going to be the gentleman with the red armor. That is Captain Savas, for those of you who don't know. And for those of you who do know, he's probably claimed a few objectives of yours. So yeah, coming soon to a theater near you. And what's so special about him is the way I've kitted him out, and I've been rocking for probably about a year now, honestly since about April 2021. He has the Rites of War Warlord trait, as well as the Relic Visage of Death. And for those of you who don't know that combination, it is definitely one of the strongest options we have in the supplement. That essentially allows him to flip an objective pretty much on a dime, in a pinch, which has been huge for him. And also, before we move off him, I also spent another additional CP for Angel Exemplar to give him a second Warlord trait, and that is going to be for Soulwarden to give him a 5 of Feel No Pain versus Mortal Wounds to all units within 6. It's been really clutch for me and has helped me for a very long time, and I've honestly had that on him for almost the same amount of time as the other Warlord trait Relic combo, so definitely has been a massive help and boost to the army. He's also a chapter master, and he definitely can punch and hit in combat with a Relic Blade, but he's mainly just a force multiplier and definitely is used more as a defensive tool. Next up from the HQs, we have the Sanguinary Priest. He is the Selfless Healer. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen this loadout, and it's been pretty popular for a very long time. Selfless Healer obviously making him able to revive a model for free each turn and heal flat 3 on 2 different units. He's obviously a Chief Apothecary in order to get that, and his relic will be the Teeth of Terra, just to give him a little bit more of a punch, and definitely make him able to trade actually quite efficiently into many smaller MSU units. The latest addition to my army in terms of HQs, which has been a shift that I think I've gone to for just probably over 2 months now, with the almost basically the arrival of the Custodes and Genestealer cult book, has been the Chief Librarian. He knows Null Zone to turn off invulnerable saves. He knows Psychic Fortress for a 5-up invulnerable save aura, and he also knows Psychic Scourge for a little bit of extra mortal wound output. For those of you who don't know, Blood Angels actually have a stratagem that can allow you to cast another power. So sometimes in a turn where you need a big power like Null Zone to go off, you also want to start dealing some mortal wounds. Now all of a sudden you're able to still get that Null Zone, get that Smite, and have a Psychic Scourge in the back pocket to make things happen. And all that being said, his relic is the Armour Indomitus, because I still value him as a decent trade piece, sort of like the Chaplain, in terms of throwing him at something that's maybe tough to shift or it's quite large, and definitely can sense an interrupt coming, and as long as Null Zone isn't off, I'm able to maybe shift the swing of a combat, for example, with him, which is very nice to have. And obviously he opens up a lot of secondary help as well. So I mean, he's just been an absolute all-around bonus to the army, and definitely has been a an actual force multiplier in terms of actual damage and scoring. So it's been great. So moving on over to the troop selections, we're going to have a squad of incursors. We're going to have an auto bolt rifle intercessor squad, and then we're also going to have another incursor squad on the left. I've been sticking to these guys for a while now. The reason being is because at any point when I need a volume of shots, the auto bolt rifle intercessors are able to double shoot, which is, a splendid 30 shots, which is pretty nice. Definitely not looking for it, but just nice to have in your back pocket. I'm more of a utility player myself, so I like to have little tech options in my list and never feel like I don't have something. And then in terms of the incursors, forward deploy I think is massive, and even having the Phobos keyword with a redeploy from guerrilla tactics I think is definitely a huge help in the current. On to the bread and butter of the army, which is my elite slots. So I'm super passionate about the Blood Angels, as I've mentioned earlier, and the thing that attracted me most is their jump pack units. So I always stick with them no matter what, or no matter what shape the meta might seem to be. So I have my token Death Company squad of 5. We got the 3 Thunderhammers and 2 Chainswords. I think I've had this squad the same way kitted out for the past, I want to say 2 years, or ever since the supplement came out. They're just too good to not have as a forward pressure and trading piece, so I've always stuck through thick and thin with them. Moving on to some more jump pack infantry units, we're actually going to have 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard. If you guys noticed, it's actually going to be a single 4-man squad with all swords and Angelus bolt guns. Also just a good trading unit, and definitely great for board presence, just to support a side of the board when you need it, and because they have a heroic intervention ability for 1 CP. And then the 2 squads behind them are actually going to be another 2 5-man squads of Sanguinary Guard, all with axes on those squads. And then the 2 on the far left side are actually going to be counting as Inferno pistols, so that's why they're differentiated from their other 5, from the other 3 within the 5. And then on this side of the army as well, there's going to be 2 Inferno pistols on the far left, WYSIWYG, with another 3 with Angelus bolt guns. So the idea behind the Inferno pistols is just to add a little bit of extra punch when things get too close and I need to shift some armor. The last elite slot that I have for my army within this battalion is actually filled up by 3 auto boltstorm aggressors. I think their output is actually a lot better than people might remember it being. I know a long time ago they could double shoot, and I know they can't anymore, so a lot of people kind of moved away from them, but the fact that you're getting 18 flat shots at 18 inches with another 3d6, all with as an assault weapon, so you're able to advance and shoot, I think it's actually really helpful to the Blood Angels in terms of having some extra firepower within your arsenal, and especially in this meta right now. There's a lot of chaff that needs to be cleared, and I haven't found a better unit that could do it in this book pretty much, so definitely going to give them a try. And the fact that they also have 16 power fist attacks on the charge as Blood Angels with +1 a wound definitely doesn't hurt. So on paper they seem like a pretty solid choice, especially in recent testing. All right, so moving on to the fast attack slots, we actually have 2. The first one is actually going to be the 6 Assault Marines. I'm sure you guys can figure out why 6. And for those of you who don't, that's actually just because of actions such as Retrieve Nachman data, requiring you to actually roll a dice in order to complete it if you're not a troop, essentially, of 5. And trust me, I've had my fair share of 6s rolled. I've actually recently in a test game against Christian rolled 3 6s with the same unit. So definitely want to avoid that at all costs, and these guys can definitely just get the job done and also be a cheap trading unit as well in a game for only 120 points. So not too bad, but everything's pretty expensive as Space Marines these days. And the other option I've gone with in the fast attack slot is the 3 Firstborn Space Marine Bikers. The reason being is just because, believe it or not, they do actually have a lot of output for the small 3-man 90-point squad. Before they charge in, they have, the 12 bolt rifle shots, as they always rapid fire as bikers. And then with chainswords, I believe it's something like, 13 attacks on the charge at AP2 in the Assault Doctrine, all with +1 to wound, of course, as Blood Angels. Now, I know you're probably wondering, why are these 2 units blue? And no, I don't have an Ultramarine collection. I just recently did want to get them on the table, and my buddy Christian lended them to me, and definitely going to be great to test out at this RTT tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. And you know what? It kind of suits the fluff of my Blood Angels, as we had a pretty bad experience on ball with the incursion of the Tyranids, and we needed a little bit of Space Marine reinforcements. So kind of suits the build and fits my lore. So I'm super into it. So over to heavy support, and I only have the one slot taken here with the 3 Eradicators. The reason why I've gone for the multi-melta and 2 heavy melta rifles is actually very much for the Custodes matchup originally, but I'm realizing they have a lot more utility in general against all anti-tank. It was just a great combination for them to be shooting at Custodes without an invulnerable save when the null zone would go off. And when the heavy melta rifles are within 12 inches of, let's say those said Veritas Praetors, so the Custodes bikes, it's actually 5 damage each wound that would go through within 12 inches. So they're definitely great at doing the job of clearing elite units or elite models such as those, and they've just proven their worth time and time again into many different units across the map. And last but not least, the humble Landspeeder Storm. This guy's been with me for, I think, also for about a year or so. He's just been a staple for my list in terms of utility. Normally, I have him, riding around the battlefield with some scouts inside, doing a lot of different things with them. But I mean, in recent times, I've had to take a little shift, and I can actually explain why I've shifted with my final unit of the army in a second. But I mean, he still adds a lot of value. He's a really super cheap screen, a super cheap, easy trading unit early on. And for those of you who don't know, in the shooting phase, there's a really great stratagem that when he's within 6 inches of a unit that I believe he shot at, you can actually turn off Overwatch. So I mean, he's actually been massive in a Tau matchup, actually in a recent event that I went to, and was able to take home that tournament by simply shutting off an entire Crisis Bomb's Overwatch before charging in and wiping the squad with some Sanguinary Guard. So he's definitely been a huge help for me as well. And the final unit within my army is actually the replacement for the scouts, which is going to be the Voidsmen-At-Arms. Now, you're probably wondering what models are these, and I didn't want to just use average guardsmen or whatnot, or just some random, proxied, models or whatnot. So these are actually the old school metal Kazarkin models. I just thought they were super cool, and they looked like kind of like elite trooper sort of style units. So they definitely are pretty heavy, but it's a little bit of nostalgia, and it's really cool to just see them on the table again and bringing me some good use. But yeah, the reason for them being in the list is honestly just because of a really cheap unit to do retrieve data. I mean, there's the theme again with, the 6-man squad to make sure they get the job done. And for 48 points, I mean, you don't really feel any kind of ways when someone puts any effort into shooting them, or even better if they charge them. So it's just like a really good nuisance unit to have, and a really great trading and scoring unit as well. And that is going to be a wrap for my 2,000 points of Blood Angels. I'm really excited to play at this RTT tomorrow. It's actually going to be a 4-round RTT event, starting pretty early and going until pretty late. Just eager to see how this can perform within even our local meta. I think RTTs are a fantastic way to gauge armies and different compositions and archetypes that you want to try out, preparing for, larger events, and even different builds in terms of like myself, seeing what a list like this can do. And I can actually have some feedback for the fellas on Team Canada, as I actually have recently joined the team as part of the 16. So definitely excited to get this on the table, see what I can do. And of course, I tried to go in as depth of a description as possible into the units that I selected and why and whatnot. But if you're still wondering, why certain decisions were made, or if you have any, constructive criticism, please feel free to either reach out to me personally. I'm always very open to on Facebook and whatnot, and or comment, and hopefully I can get back to you as soon as possible with hopefully some answers. And always open to chatting a bit, offline on as well. All right, so we've arrived at X Planet nice and early. It's going to be a long day. We got 4 rounds. We got Christian here.
What's going on?
Ready to rock and roll. So we'll keep you posted inside and see where they do. All right, so we're here at the RTT round 1. We got my little castle back here, a couple of forward deploying units, Death Company ready to rock and roll. Then we're gonna go over here, check out what Armando's rocking with. He's running Tau. He's taking up a pretty defensive position, but he's ready to pounce with that Monka, you already know. All right, let's see how the game goes. Going into round 2, the pressure is definitely on. Board state's looking interesting. I know the big man Mondo's gonna have some hurting for me this turn though. Let's see what he can bring. Let's see what pain he can bring my way. All right, so we have wrapped up the game. Tau did as we thought, and they pretty much took back the board, but it was just a little bit too late. Armando played it well, but this little mini castle that remains ended up squeaking it out. So we got this one 97-44. And just because of the early lead, we were able to hold on. So good game, Armando. So at round 2, played against Light Harlequins, played against my guy Hamza. It was an epic game. I tried to push things. I tried to push him to the limit, but he just had the resources to take me right to turn 5 and clear it out at the end. I believe it was 81-73 for him. The Blood Angels will be back, I promise. That's the dead pile. This is my dead pile. It was a bloodbath. Not Bloodbath and Beyond, unfortunately. But he did a great job, so congratulations, Hamza. On to round 3. All right, so round 3 at the X-Planet RTT. We've got my Blood Angels going up against Chris's Chaos. Got a Knight in there, a Land Raider. This is going to be absolutely epic. Please check him out on, and Chris, you can say it for me.
On Tabletop Minis on Instagram.
Woo! Check him out. Definitely worth a look. And let's see what he can do. He's got first turn. Please don't hurt me too hard, Chris. Over to the game. All right, so end of the game for round 3. The Blood Angels did just pull it off with barely any units left on the board. That's how we have to play the game, but we were able to take it against Chaos. Please check out Chris's channel, Tabletop Minis, on Instagram. Super great models, super great job with little conversions everywhere, and it was just a really great army. Chris, thanks for an awesome game, and looking forward to the next round. All right, round 4. It's been a long day. I'm playing Mark Wong. He's got his Custodes. He's trying to get all the angles. You already know. He's doing a great job. I'm using my Blood Angels. You already know. Let's see what happens here. He's going to bring the Pain Train, so let's see what we can do going into Custodes round 2. All right, and that's a wrap for round 4. The Blood Angels just squeaked it out against the Custodes. Had to make a couple of hero charges and get the job done. Very fortunate to do that. Mark was an amazing opponent. Mark, thank you for an awesome game. Definitely a lot to learn from. Definitely a great opponent, and it's always great to play great opponents such as Mark, because he only makes you better. So more to come in the wrap-up, but looking forward to many more tournaments to come. All right, and there we have it. That's the end of the day, finishing in 3rd place. Pretty happy to represent the Sons of Sanguinius quite well. A little unfortunate that I did have to drop the 1 game to the Light Harlequins, but that just seems to be the nature of the meta currently. I don't want to get into too many details right now and make this a long, drawn-out summary. But if there is any interest in maybe answering questions on anything further about the day, please leave a comment and I will, gladly answer it briefly. And actually, if there's enough interest and more, broad questions in general about how Blood Angels interact with the current meta and how we need to adapt, or maybe, even regarding the situation about the tournament and how I had to play into all the different, matchups, maybe I can also either do a live stream to answer questions live, or of course, just make another video with all your questions to be answered. So, again, great day, a lot of fun, 4 great opponents. It's not every day you play a pretty much mini GT, so huge shout out and thank you to Lionel from X-Planet. He's the owner there with an amazing shop for hosting such an awesome event, and I'm sure he's going to, be having a couple more down the pipeline. So it's exciting to know that we have a great store owner that's willing to do a lot for the community. And help it grow. A lot of new faces, a lot of experienced players there. So it was a really great mix. And yeah, definitely looking forward to adopting the list, making a couple of tweaks to maybe see where I can take it and, really stress test my ability and the army in general. Not that it really needs to be really tested anymore. But yeah, more to come. And as mentioned, leave a comment, like, support where you can. I appreciate it, this is my first video. And we'll see where I can take the Sons of Sanguinius moving forward this year. So thank you for listening and watching, and all the best.